So today, we're going to dive into a real piece of technological history, a true survivor. It's a database that actually has its roots way back in the 1980s, and it has been quietly powering our world for decades, a lot of the time completely under the radar.
All right, so let me ask you a question. Just think for a second about all the different tech you use or interact with every single day. What if I told you that a database engine, one whose family tree goes back decades, is probably running inside some of those devices right now? We're talking about everything from cash registers to critical medical equipment.
And the answer is Firebird. Yeah, that's it. It's small, it's incredibly fast, and it is just unbelievably resilient. It's this open source relational database that has carved out this really fascinating niche for itself, and today we're going to see exactly how it managed to do that.
Okay, so to really get Firebird, you have to understand where it came from. This wasn't some project born in a modern startup incubator, not at all. Its story actually starts with a huge corporate giant and one single moment that basically handed its entire future over to the community.
So its journey kicked off in the 80s as a commercial database called Interbase, which was owned by Borland. But the real turning point, the game changer, happened in the year 2000. Borland actually released the source code, and a group of really passionate developers saw this massive opportunity. They jumped on it, formed the Firebird project, and created an open-source fork. That move made sure this powerful engine wouldn't just survive, but it would actually thrive, guided by a dedicated community.
So what is it that makes this database so special? Well, it's all about this incredible balancing act between having a tiny, tiny footprint, but packing in a surprisingly powerful set of features. It's really the classic case of big things coming in small packages.
You know, what's really interesting is how all these features come together. I mean, Firebird isn't some light database. No, it's fully SQL compliant. It has advanced stuff like triggers and stored procedures. You can run it as a standalone server for multiple users, or you can just embed it right into your application as a simple library file. On top of that, it runs on pretty much any platform you can think of with hardly any dependencies, which has made it famous for being absolutely rock solid and stable.
Now, one of Firebird's secret weapons, and this is really cool, is its multi-generational architecture. So instead of having database writers lock out readers, which slows everything down, Firebird gives each user their own consistent snapshot of the data from the exact moment they started their task. This lets tons of people read and write at the same time without tripping over each other. For busy systems, that is a massive performance boost.
Okay, theory is great, but where do you actually find this thing in the real world? Well, the answer is kinda everywhere, but it's hidden in plain sight. Firebird is the engine humming away inside countless applications you've probably used without ever even knowing its name.
Ever been to a store or restaurant? There's a really good chance that the point-of-sale system, the cash register that processed your order, relies on Firebird. It's perfect for these places because it's super reliable, it's fast, and you definitely don't need a database administrator on site to babysit it.
And that reliability, well, it extends to even more critical areas. Its stability and tiny footprint make it absolutely ideal for embedded systems. We're talking medical instruments, industrial control devices, places where failure is just not an option. Firebird just sits there in the background and does its job, year after year.
It's also the backbone for a ton of business-critical applications. So many companies are still running their big enterprise resource planning and accounting systems that were built decades ago, and they're running on Firebird. The reason is simple. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. It's just incredibly stable, and it just keeps on working.
The Firebird community has its own distinct flavor too. It's hugely popular in places like Eastern Europe and Latin America. Part of that is because of these strong historical ties to the Delphi development world. And it's still a favorite for developers who use languages like Delphi and C++ because they really value its raw performance and how smoothly it integrates.
All right, so you might be thinking, in a world that's totally dominated by database giants like Postgres, MySQL, and all these cloud-native solutions, how does this quiet little contender continue to hold its own? Well, it's because it perfectly serves a niche that others just tend to overlook.
So let's look at where it fits. Unlike some of the simpler embedded databases like SQLite, Firebird gives you the full suite of SQL features and really high concurrency. And unlike desktop databases like Access, it can be deployed as a proper, robust server. It just hits that sweet spot of being powerful, flexible, and lightweight all at the same time. And that brings us to this number, 0. For a lot of developers, this is it.
This is Firebird's killer feature. It's zero admin nature. You can embed it right in your application, ship it out to a customer, and it just works. No complex installation, no needing a dedicated database administrator. It's the definition of set it and forget it reliability.
And don't for a second mistake its age for stagnation. Oh no, Firebird is very much alive and kicking. The community, which is led by the Firebird Foundation, is constantly modernizing it. The latest versions support things like JSON data and parallel backups. It's being used in really modern environments, like embedded Linux systems and even in cloud containers, which just proves how adaptable it really is.
Which leaves us with a final thought, right? We spend so much time talking about these massive, scalable, cloud-based data platforms. But Firebird's story is a great reminder that there's incredible value in being small, stable, and completely self-sufficient. In a world of data giants, maybe the real unsung heroes are the ones that just quietly and reliably get the job done.